Deep Threat Sports Network, Foul 'em Hard fans. Garrett and I are back tonight with another fantastic episode. Told y'all we'd be back, and here we are. Garrett is with me, and I'm pumped up to do this again. Hey, the college basketball season week 1 is underway. It has lived up to the hype. Some fantastic games so far. You know, I've had this conversation with a buddy of mine, Garrett, and I wanted to run this by you. What was college basketball kind of doing on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, though, when they kind of could have controlled the market with big-time games and you don't see anything spectacular throughout the week? But obviously tonight it spices back up with the Kansas-UNC matchup that we'll talk about a little bit. But what I don't understand what college basketball was doing throughout the week when they could have had some serious market viewership and controlled the whole entire thing.
I think it's just because it's early, Collin. I mean, it's hard to get – you don't see a lot of these teams schedule these marquee matchups super early. Obviously, you're going to have some pretty big games early in the season, but once conference play kicks in, that's when most of your marquee matchups kick off Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays. And really, Friday is one of the worst days of the year for college basketball, typically. It's just hard this time of year. It's hard to get a bunch of teams on board to schedule these big games and to fill a scheduled day in and day out.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see that too. You kind of want to have some games that you can have a feeling out process for your team a little bit, kind of like a Mizzou-SEMO matchup that we're seeing that's an absolute slugfest right now. So if you see me looking backwards at my TV in my office, it's because I never in a million years thought when we were doing this show, Garrett, I'd be on the edge of my seat for a Mizzou-SEMO matchup. But good Lord, I should have got tickets. This is a banger.
Yeah, I mean, Collin, I asked you before we started, you sure you want to do this? Because I thought maybe you'd be glued into the TV to watch it.
No, man, this is one I just need to let unfold and hope they pull it out. And when we turn around when this show is over, I don't flip out and it's a win. But we'll see what goes on here. All right, Garrett. So on tonight's episode, if you followed us last year, you kind of know how we do things once the season gets going. And we know it's a Friday night. People are busy. Probably not going to be a lot of live viewership tonight, which is fine. You can go back and rewatch us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, all those good things. We just wanted to get this episode in tonight before the Saturday games start up tomorrow. So, Garrett, how we do things, like you know, we have our For Better or For Worse segment, which I really like doing that a ton, especially once all the big-time games really get going. And then something that you added this year, and I like it, it's a good touch, especially early on in the season, is that overreact or relax segment a little bit that we're going to get into. And I think it's a really good segment, really good idea by you. And then obviously we will get into the games of the week to watch after this episode comes out. And also too, pre-show we discussed this a little bit, how good this freshman class is. And I like the fact that we want to talk about what the impact freshmen have done so far this first week, because man, they are absolutely incredible. And we might get into our Final Four predictions. I don't know if I'm just ready to drop mine yet, but if you're ready for yours, I'll let you spit it as early as you would like. I may need one more week to try to dial in on who I think is really going to be my Final Four. But anything you want to add real quick, Garrett?
No, I mean, it was a great first week of college basketball. Obviously, some pretty bad games early in the year. But you sprinkle in some good ones, and those are the ones we'll talk about.
Yep, absolutely. Well, let's get right into this thing then, man, and get into our For Better or For Worse segment. And the first game that we are going to talk about on our For Better or For Worse segment is number 13, Arizona, 93 points against number 3, Florida, 87. Garrett, when you watch this game, who do you give the edge to here? For better or for worse, Arizona or Florida?
It's hard to give a team – it's hard to say a team had a worse loss on literally, Collin, night one of college basketball. The only reason I could say it's a bad loss for Florida is because I don't think anyone gave Arizona even a fighting chance in this game, Collin. I looked at this game on the schedule and I thought, it's a great game opening night. But Florida should end up running away with this game, especially with some of the pieces that they brought back from last year's national championship team, adding Boogie Fland. They just came out a little bit flat, in my opinion, Collin. I will give it a better win for Arizona. The one concern I have with the way Florida looked in that game was their toughness. They were out-rebounded, Collin, by a team that was not that big. They had Krivas, who was 7'2", and Koa Pete is at 6'8". And they were out-rebounded, starting really two centers, Florida does, with Condon and Howell. And they were out-rebounded 41-39 to a team that I don't think should ever out-rebound the Florida Gators, especially on opening night. It was really disappointing to see, but I will say Koa Pete and Jaden Bradley are going to be a big problem for people come down the future. Koa Pete, underlooked, as we talked about before the show, Collin. You're going to find out how good this guy really is.
Yeah, 100%, man. And for me, too, what's crazy is, like, you kind of touched on it a little bit. This Tommy Lloyd, his team was kind of overlooked a little bit coming into this game. And also, too, to your point, Koa Pete wasn't talked about much in this freshman class. And, man, the stuff that they were able to do and accomplish in this basketball game was absolutely unbelievable. And I also, for me, I'm going to give it the segment here, in my opinion, I'm going to give it to Arizona a little bit. And for that reason is because of everything we just talked about. With that being said, too, I thought that they looked to be the more physical basketball team. When they needed a bucket, they would turn to Koa Pete, let him work inside the paint, get something going. I just think they're going to be a real big problem moving forward for opposing teams, and they're going to play with that chip a little bit. And I listened to Tommy Lloyd's post-game interview and kind of talked about how he wasn't counting his team out, and they had nothing to lose really in this basketball game, but everything to prove. And I think if they play with that mentality, it makes them really deadly. The for worse part that I would lean Florida a little bit is, dude, without Walter Clayton and Elijah Martin, that's a ton of production that you're missing on this Florida basketball team. And I think you kind of saw it in this game itself. Whenever somebody needed to go get a bucket, Walter Clayton wasn't there to throw up a deep three and knock it down. Elijah Martin wasn't there to go and drive in and get fouled and get the bucket at the same time. So I think that's going to give them some growing pains. I think they're plenty talented to make it work without those two guys, but it's going to take some time because those are the two guys they turned to the most when the going got tough. And Thomas Hogg was the only guy in this basketball game for Florida that looked like he's going to be able to be that guy. And for me too, I don't think Condon, and it's game one, but I don't think Condon took that step that we were all kind of thinking he was going to be able to go take right away.
Yeah, Condon, he was battling foul trouble most of the game. So I'm going to give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. The thing with this Florida team, Collin, just like you said, with Clayton last year, they always had a guy who could go get a bucket. Always, at any time, any spot on the floor. Boogie Fland needs to step up and be that guy. And Boogie Fland is not playing. He's playing like he still has that leash on his back at Arkansas. I want Boogie Fland to start taking 10 to 15 shots a game and stop dishing the ball so much. It's time for Boogie Fland to grow up and start taking some really important down the stretch shots for this Florida team.
100%. And we talked last year a little bit about that Arkansas team that he was playing for. They were going to go as he went. Obviously, he got banged up for quite a while, and you saw that caused problems for Arkansas. But, yeah, man, he is truly talented, one of the most talented players in the country if he gets it all together and gets it going. We just have to see that come together. And I'm drawing a blank on the Princeton transfer. What's his name? Xavier Lee. Yeah, I mean, he was supposed to kind of come off the bench for them, started in this basketball game, made some big shots early, I felt like. They're going to need him to score a lot of points too and do what he does best. So, I don't know. This was tough for me. They're still so talented, this Florida team is, for me to count them out. And honestly, man, if Arizona, Florida played 5 times this season, Florida probably win 3 of them, seriously, once they put it together. I mean, Chinyulu needs to be bigger in the paint and allow them to get more rebounds too. That's what he does the best at. He needs to do that down the stretch for Florida as well. I think they still have the things and the pieces to still be a really deadly team, potentially a Final Four team. Just this could honestly go over on our overreact or relax segment too for the Florida aspect a little bit. So
right.
I'm gonna pump the brakes a little bit.
One big thing to look at in this game, Collin, and it goes back to this toughness that we keep talking about with Florida. Florida took 27 threes in that game to Arizona's 5. They got abused inside the three-point line. Yeah. And like we keep talking, a team that starts Hawk is not a center, but he's big. He's a big-bodied individual. You can't get beat in the paint like that to a team that's undersized.
No, you're 100% right. And that was what was concerning. They had the size and the big men, and they just couldn't put it together. So let's move on to this next one a little bit here, and we're going to talk Villanova 66, BYU 71. I don't have much on this. I watched this whole entire game start to finish, but I'm indifferent here a little bit because I do think it's a better win for BYU because they had major expectations and still came out with that win, even though it looked ugly for a little bit. I don't think it was the win they expected, But at the end of the day, with this BYU team piecing together a lot of new pieces and AJ DeBonsa coming in and having tons of expectations, and I thought he looked really good. Richie Saunders was a little sick coming into this game, didn't know if he was going to play. Obviously, that plays a part. So credit to them for getting the job done. But I don't know. Part of me wants to say it's for worse for Villanova because BYU was beatable and they didn't get him. And I don't know how talented this Villanova team is moving forward because I honestly, Garrett, thought they played their A-plus basketball. And I thought it just wasn't enough. So I'm concerned and didn't have truly high expectations for Villanova this season. But I grow a little bit more concerned because I think this was their best basketball they could play, and it wasn't enough.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I don't think it's a better win for BYU. I don't think it's a worse loss for Villanova. Honestly, I think it's a better loss for Villanova. With the turnaround, they lost, Collin, the only player on their team that could even get close to a bucket last year, and it was Eric Dixon. He literally had half their points. He grabbed 90% of their rebounds, and if somebody else scored, it was probably from an Eric Dixon assist. And they lost him this year. I thought BYU might win this game by 30. So the fact that Villanova could keep this respectable doesn't say a lot about them because I think BYU was beatable in this game. But they surprised me with the style of loss that they had, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't – the whole time I was watching, I was like, man, I would say Villanova's playing the better basketball game. They just don't get enough buckets. Like, I don't know. And like you said, AJ DeBonsa is an absolute monster. Also, Keita is like one of the most physical players in the country for BYU. Love everything I saw from that guy. I would not want to meet him in an alley at night because he's going to kick your ass. I mean, that dude was playing bully ball inside and was afraid of absolutely nobody. So loved everything I saw from this BYU team. I do have a question. Kind of one of my buddies I mentioned earlier that I talk a lot of college basketball with too. Him and I were big believers in Rob Wright coming into last season for Baylor. We were kind of big believers again for him coming to BYU. We know it's game one. I want to get your take on this. We just are me and him are starting to question and text during this game. Maybe Rob Wright's just not that guy.
I don't know if he's just not that guy, Collin, or if he just can't find anywhere to fit in. I mean, it looks like he's forcing his shot to me. It looks like every time he gets the ball in his hand, his mindset is on putting the ball in the bottom of the hoop. The problem is the ball doesn't go in the bottom of the hoop.
No.
That's Rob Wright's biggest problem. I don't think he plays basketball recklessly. I think he's an average point guard. I wish he would facilitate more than he does. I wish he would take less shots because he's pretty smooth with the ball, Collin. He just can score, and he thinks he's a scorer. And that was his problem at Baylor last year. I think he takes too many shots.
Yeah, and we saw him at Baylor last year just not really fitting in the best because they were loaded with Roach, Nunn, and VJ Edgecombe. Like all those guys were kind of in the same position that he was in. And down the stretch, I just felt like they didn't trust him as much. And I felt like BYU wasn't really – I don't know if they can trust him that much moving down the stretch with this team right now until he kind of comes to fruition a little bit. Like I'm letting AJ DeBonsa bring the ball down the court right now before I'm letting him, just because I don't want him to have as many touches.
Well, and let's look at it this way, Collin. He was really the fourth option last year on Baylor. He should be the fourth option this year on BYU. DeBonsa brought the ball up the floor a lot that game and had 0 turnovers. He's a freshman. Had no turnovers. I think the totem pole on BYU is DeBonsa. Saunders when he's right. Obviously, he wasn't 100% that game. And Keita this is crazy, Collin, because DeBonsa is the best player on the team. But if Keita gets out of games with foul trouble or if he does not play, the team is going to struggle more with him out of the game than anybody else because what he does, not only defensively, but the way he can screen these guys open. He is the biggest piece on this team, I promise you.
Yeah, no, you don't have to convince me, man, because you saw it when he came out of the game a little bit. It allowed Villanova to catch some steam and to get some traction going and have some success on the court. So I'm with you on that 100%. Let's see here. Garrett, did we lose you? Might have lost Garrett here for a minute. Oh, yeah, he's frozen for sure. He's 100% frozen. You with me, Garrett?
I got you back. Yep.
Perfect. That's no big deal. Perfect timing to talk a little bit about Texas scoring 60 points and number 6 Duke scoring 75 and getting the job done. So in this basketball game, Garrett, I don't know, and we might have froze again, so I'll talk a little bit till you come back. When I was watching this game a little bit, there was a ton of hype coming on Cam Boozer and the Boozer twins themselves and what this Duke basketball team can do, winning the ACC, making a Final Four run, and obviously so, man. They're a talent loaded roster, and they should have tons and tons of success. But what we saw in this basketball game is Texas hang around a little bit early. So I'm going to go the direction that I think this is a worse loss for Texas, kind of like we talked a little bit earlier in the first game, in the sense that Duke played probably what you're going to see maybe be their worst basketball game of the season, and you still see Duke go on and take care of this Texas team with their worst basketball game of the season that we're going to see moving forward. So I'm going to go worst loss for – oh, Garrett's coming back here. I'm going to go worst loss here for Texas due to the fact that Duke was very, very beatable, and I think moving forward they're going to play much better basketball than what they did that night, and I don't think Texas is all that good. I don't think they have guys that can bring the ball down the court and go get a bucket if they have to. I don't fear anybody inside for that basketball team right now. Obviously, game one, we keep saying that, but it is early. But I don't think this Texas team is very good.
Yeah, sorry about that, Collin. Obviously having some issues here with the internet.
Happens.
I'm going to piggyback on everything you said. I caught the very tail end of it. But it's a worse loss for Texas simply because if you're going to find Duke and beat Duke the previous game was the game you're going to beat them. I thought Cam Boozer, obviously it's game one for Duke. I think that's the worst game you're going to see Cam Boozer play in a Duke uniform. Scoring-wise, I thought defensively he was everything advertised to be. But offensively, Cam Boozer struggled really the entirety of the game. And Texas never even sniffed the lead in this game.
Yep. No, I completely agree with you, man. And I think this game made me believe, and like I said, it's early, but I think this game right here made me believe that Louisville actually has more of a chance to win this conference than I thought they did originally.
I can't agree more.
Especially after the ass beating they put on, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. So let's get into our overreact or relax segment, and this is a new segment where it's early in the season, so we can do this right now. Kind of like how you heard us talking about some of these games right here. Do we need to take a step back? Do we need to overreact in a good way and say, oh my goodness, this team's better than I ever expected? Or do we need to overreact and say, holy cow, this team's worse than I thought? And there's no better way to lead this segment off and to put it in perspective of what we're trying to do with this segment than this basketball game right here. And that is Bethune-Christian 90. Auburn, 95. And this game goes to overtime. And the best part about it is I really thought Auburn was going to lose. And what's his? I'm forgetting Bruce Pearl's son's name. Steve Pearl.
Yep.
Steve Pearl's first game taking over for Bruce Pearl. We're watching Bruce Pearl on a TNT panel talking college basketball about the big game that just went on stage with Florida and Arizona, and his son's getting his teeth pushed in at home against Bethune. I think it's Bethune-Cookman.
Bethune-Cookman.
Yeah, I don't know why we have Christian now. Bethune-Cookman. And his son's getting his teeth kicked in by Bethune-Cookman, who we don't even know their name correctly right here on this show right now because we shouldn't talk about them much. And Auburn comes back, takes the lead. They're up by 3. Bethune-Cookman has the ball going down the court, hoist up a half-court 3, and Auburn fouls him to send their best free throw shooter and best bucket getter to the line and go make all 3 of them to silence the crowd to go to overtime. This game was bananas, and it shouldn't be bananas. So right now I'm getting a little animated because this fits perfect. Are we overreacting that Auburn's not that good and they have to replace Janai Broome, Chad Baker-Mazara? Like, are we overreacting with that Bruce Pearl? Or do we need to take a step back and say, okay, it's game one, Garrett. This Auburn team has a new coaching staff. They have some new pieces to the puzzle. They don't have Broome to dump it down to get a foul because every ref blew a whistle for Janai Broome in the paint. Are we overreacting? or we take a step back?
No, I'm relaxing. And I kind of harped on this in the opening podcast, Colin. It's going to be a brand new look for Auburn. It's going to take time for this team to figure things out. I didn't think it would be that ugly night one. I obviously thought they'd come out with a win. And credit to Auburn, they did. Okay. When they're looking at resumes in March, Colin, a win is a win.
Win's a win.
Doesn't matter if it went to overtime, double overtime, if they won by 50. They got the win. That's all that matters. They had a really nice bounce back game against Merrimack. They won that game by about 40.
Yep.
It's a game they absolutely needed. But obviously, they lose one of the best coaches in the country. Broom is gone. Chad Baker-Mazar is gone. That's a lot of turnover, Colin, for a team that's kind of what they ran through was Chad Baker-Mazar and Janai Broom. And their head coach, obviously, was one of the best in the country. It's going to take time. This is not going to be the same Auburn team. What I saw, I don't know if you're going to see them plowing at the top of the SEC. I just don't know if they have that kind of talent. But they're going to be fine. It's going to be better than that first game made it seem.
Yeah, and two, we talked a lot about this last season, and this is why we talked how Auburn was going to make a really deep March run last season, is because of the maturity on the team that they had. They had senior players. They had guys that had been around, Broom being one of those guys. That team was built around him inside. So losing him is a big loss, and it's going to take time, like you said, to figure out who their new go-to guy is. I think Petford is going to be the guy. I'm pretty sure they need to revolve it around him a little bit more. But we'll see how this team shakes out without Bruce Pearl moving forward. And when you replace a coach like that, it's not ever going to be easy at all. Anything else on this game?
No, just relax. I promise. Better days are coming for Auburn. They're going to have some good wins on the season. It's going to take time.
I just kept cracking up because I'm watching Bruce Pearl on the TNT panel at the same time Auburn's getting their teeth pushed in, man. I couldn't get over it. I was like, what is going on? He's not even talking about this right now. He probably didn't even have it on. He's on his phone even because he thought it was going to be an ass kicking. I had a theory about this, though, before I move on. And I know he wouldn't do this to his son. But did Bruce Pearl know that they maybe didn't have that much talent? And he was just like, let me get away?
I can't see Bruce Pearl doing that, Colin.
Not to his son, I won't think.
No, and I don't even if it wasn't his son taking the job, I think Bruce is too competitive. I don't know what the reason was for his retirement. I don't know if we'll ever really.
Uh-oh. Garrett's freezing up again. While he's frozen, let's get on to the next one that we'll talk about here. Oakland 78, number 7, Michigan 121. And this is one that we kind of talked about a little bit, and we want to overreact because this was a 100% dominant win for this Michigan team against Oakland, mainly because this Michigan team wasn't even 100% healthy. Lindenborg is going to be their best player this season, comes off the bench, and still Michigan absolutely lays the axe on Oakland. And Oakland has some history, man. Not a terrible team. They do have some success. They've made some they've made some tournaments. This is not a completely slouched program, but this Michigan team absolutely beat the shit out of them up and down the court. Garrett, we got you back, I think. What are we overreacting or relaxing a little bit on this Michigan performance?
Yeah, I'm going to apologize again. My Wi-Fi is going to give me some fits this evening. I'm overreacting. I think this Michigan team is, Colin, not just good, really, really good. The size this Michigan team has, Colin, I'm going to read off some size here. They have Yaxel. They have Mara at 7'3". Yaxel's at 6'9". They also have Johnson at 6'9". Will Cheddar, the transfer from, I believe, Wisconsin, is 6'8". Colin, that's a lot of size for a team that knocked down 19 threes.
Yes, it is, buddy.
Obviously, 19 threes and shooting 54% from the behind the line is not sustainable. But the fact that they can even have that element to their game is really scary. And a lot of people probably look at Oakland and say, okay, it's Oakland. You mentioned that's not just your average mid-major. I want people to understand Oakland lost to Purdue tonight by 10 points.
Yes.
This is a big-time win. Now, I shouldn't say a big-time win. It's a big-time performance from Michigan. It's a wake-up call to what this team can really do.
Yeah, man. And this might open some eyes to make them be that Big Ten front runner, arguably, right? I mean, they are going to give Purdue fits. I have no doubts about that. And they match up really well against Purdue when these two teams do go head to head. And I like everything I'm seeing from them right now. Obviously, this is why we have this segment, but I am overreacting as well that I think Michigan is a true Final Four contender after everything I saw in this game, especially because Yaxel wasn't even on the court most of the game. And this was like a him just get a little bit healthier basketball game, and they still kicked ass. I
Yeah.
loved it.
And you mentioned how they match up against.
It's doing it to him again. That poor guy. He's just battling it out, man. He's battled it out like Mizzou is against SEMO right now. Just absolutely in the gauntlet, trying to squeeze every bit of life he has out of that Wi-Fi, just like this Mizzou basketball team is right now. Good Lord, it's terrible if you're watching that live. I feel bad for any Mizzou fans out there. It's not a good time. Let's overreact and relax a little bit on this South Carolina State 45 to number 11 Louisville scoring 104. And I'm indifferent on this one a little bit, mainly because I had made the case that I think Louisville can win the ACC, and they were going to be my ACC pick to win it. So this is not unexpected for me when it comes to Louisville basketball. Is scoring 104 points game one a little unexpected? Yeah, a little bit. But South Carolina State is horrible. They are a horrible basketball team. So Louisville did exactly what they were supposed to do in this basketball game, and it was beat the hell out of them and make them regret coming to play them. So I like what I saw from Louisville. I think they took care of business exactly how they were supposed to.
I agree. Not only did they score 104, 106 points night one, they followed that up with another 100-point game on their second game of the season. I mean, this Louisville team can score a lot, Collin, and they're going to continue to score a lot of points. The only concern I have with Louisville in that night one game, 17 turnovers to a really bad basketball team. You can't turn the ball over that often against a team that really isn't even giving you defensive pressure.
Yeah, I think with that is where it kind of falls into that game one category a little bit. And maybe you were trying a little too much. And when you get up by 30 points, you're trying to run some things that maybe getting a little too cute, trying to get a little too flashy. So I think you could sprinkle some of those to that. But I'm with you. You don't want to see double digits like that against a really bad basketball team in South Carolina State. So clean that up a little bit, and I'm with you on that. And they're going to be even more lethal. So this game doesn't really fall into overreact or relax. I guess we could throw this off the cuffs into for better or for worse. And that's because this game took place tonight, right? We came on right after this game ended shortly. And that's number 19, Kansas 74 against number 25, UNC 87. I did only get my eyes on the first half of this basketball game because I spent 2 hours waiting in line at Texas Roadhouse to take my wife to dinner. So I missed the second half of this basketball game, Garrett. So I'm going to let you talk most of this because when I quit watching, Kansas was in control.
Yeah, and that's the only reason I'd even consider this to be a worse loss for Kansas because really, Collin, after that first half, Kansas was in pretty good control of this game. I thought Kansas in the first half looked like the better team. You come out in the second half and Carolina's unconscious. Caleb Wilson, maybe overreact here, is the best freshman in the country, Collin. Maybe the best player in the country. Collin, he's 6'10" and moves like a guard. How do you defend him? How do you defend him? If Hubert Davis struggles this year, I don't know what more you could give him on a team because this is the best team he's had since he's been a coach at Carolina.
Dude, and he jumps out of the gym. And when I watch him jump and get putbacks and get rebounds, this might not be the best comparison, but when I watched him right away, I almost got like the bigger version of like VJ Edgecombe from last year. Like the dude gets up and puts people on posters. And I love what I'm seeing from him. There's a reason that in our college fantasy basketball league, I sniffed out Caleb Wilson fairly early because I think he's the focal point of this basketball team for them to have success this season. And I think he is going to be one and done. And I think he's truly going to make a push for some big time awards and make this UNC team go.
Yeah, and I don't want to overlook how good Seth Trimble was tonight. Carolina needs Seth Trimble to make a jump this year. They need more than one scoring option outside of Caleb Williams. They will get it. I'm sorry, Caleb Wilson. They will get it if Seth Trimble looks like that every night. That was really good basketball on Carolina's part.
Yes, and Hubert Davis, he needs this, or he is gone. I mean, especially with this team. And I think that puts a little bit more pressure on him, seeing them beat a team like Kansas early on in the season, that he has to kind of sustain that level for the rest of the season. I'll let the wheels fall off, or he's in trouble, man. I am a firm believer in that.
I'm a little more worried about Kansas after this game than I was after the first show, Colin. I understand it's one game, but they didn't show me much outside of Darren Peterson in this game with the ability to score. I thought Peterson was the only guy on the floor that could really generate a bucket on his own. And that's a scary sign for Kansas. They need more than one guy.
I 100% agree with you that I think it's Darren Peterson a bust for this Kansas basketball team. Mm-hmm. Like, he's got to score 30 a night the way it looks right now, or they're in trouble.
Now, let's not disregard how tough it is to play at Chapel Hill. I mean, that is one of the premier environments in college basketball with a very new-looking Kansas team.
Yes.
It's a tough place to go into, but I thought I would see a little bit more fight out of them that second half, especially carrying in a lead at halftime.
Yep, totally agree with you. And I honestly thought Kansas could go and win that game. I really did. There was a reason that I took Kansas +3 in this basketball game, and it was one of my only 2 losses all week. And I was a firm believer in this Kansas team going in. So let's talk a little bit. Speaking of Peterson and Caleb Wilson, that's a great transition by you. I don't even did it on purpose, but well done. Let's focus on a little bit of the impact freshmen from the earlier games this week. Obviously, if they played tonight, not going to have the most updated stats here. Like I said, we got hung up at Roadhouse for 2 hours, so didn't get to get all the finalizing done on this that I wanted to for tonight. But let's talk a little bit here. First one we're going to talk about, and we talked about his game a little bit, his actual game and his game in the game, and that's Cam Boozer. Had 15 points, 13 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals, 1 block, 3 turnovers. I thought from a standpoint to not get repetitive, I was really concerned about his scoring ability once he gets inside, especially being how big he is. That was concerning for me. I thought there was a lot of times he had easy my buddy calls them bunnies, easy bunnies to go ahead and get in there and get you a basket, and just completely misses them. So I am concerned about that. You made the point where everything else outside of that looks really good.
I mean, I don't want to overreact when I say this, but it is the worst game you're going to see Cameron Boozer play as a Duke Blue Devil. I'm telling you, Colin, it is. His stat line wasn't even bad. I mean, he had a double-double. He had 3 blocks. He literally did everything you needed him to do besides score the ball, and that's going to come. I promise. He's too big. He's too physical. He's too athletic to get 15 a night. I mean, I think you're going to be seeing Boozer in the low 20s really night in and night out.
Yeah, I would agree with that. The next one we're going to talk about, touch on him a little bit too, is Koa Pete for Arizona. The dude absolutely lit it up, man. And he set the bar high for this freshman class. And arguably the biggest game any of these freshmen played in their first game. I mean, this dude went up against a Florida team that was reigning national champions, that everybody counted Arizona out, and he goes and drops 30 with 7 boards, 5 assists, 3 steals, a block, only 2 turnovers. He was all over the basketball court offensively and defensively, getting up and down the court. This would be my MVP of the week.
And Collin, he made it look so easy. I mean, it was like you looked up at the scoreboard and he has 25. It's like, how does this guy have 25? It looks effortless. He's a true 3-level scorer. He didn't take a ton of threes, didn't make a ton of threes. He can shoot them, Collin, and he can get to the rim. I don't know how you don't crown him the best freshman of the week.
Yeah, and he's built like a brick shithouse. He's not built like a freshman.
No.
He's going to give some physical players real fits. The next one is AJ DeBonsa for BYU. 21 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, no turnovers. See him bring the ball up the court quite a bit for this BYU basketball team this game. Not something that they were truly going to expect him to do all the time, but when he's this damn good, he's able to do that, and you want this offense to funnel through him. He's the number one option, and I feel like he distributes the ball well, reads the court well, and I just feel like he is a very polished basketball player. He's a one-and-done talent for sure, and you can tell he wants to win for this BYU team too. It's not just a stepping stone. I know he's getting a lot of money, but, man, this BYU team can really be lethal if he's leading the charge.
I already talked about it. Biggest stat to me of his whole stat line is 0 turnovers. With the amount of times he had the ball in his hand in this game, really operating the offense, not to have a turnover in your first game as a collegiate basketball player is incredibly impressive. This guy is smooth. He has no fear. I think even offensively, you didn't even see – I don't even think you saw the tip of the iceberg with what he can do offensively. He is – the only complaint I have about him is he went 2 for 7 from the line, but his
Yes.
stroke looks smooth. I don't think that's going to be a consistent theme. I really think he's probably going to be up in the 70s. This dude's a monster, Collin. He's truly one of a kind.
Yep, totally agree. The next freshman is Darren Peterson from Kansas. 21 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, a block, and a turnover. This dude had tons of hype coming into the season, and rightfully so. This was a guy that we talked on our first episode about how could truly lead Kansas to returning to the heights that they're used to. Team's going to funnel through him. Just touch on it when we did this review with Kansas and UNC. It was Darren Peterson to bust in the second game and the first game. He is the heartbeat of this Kansas basketball team.
Yeah, and the best shooter of this freshman class. He is all Kansas has from what I've seen tonight. He is going to put up big numbers night in and night out. He'll be a lottery pick. He's going to be a top 3 guy. Get used to hearing his name.
100%. The next one that we just talked about in the last game too, but this is his first game stats, is Caleb Wilson. 22 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, steal, 1 block, 2 turnovers, up and down the court. Plays great defense, not afraid to go get a board, not afraid to match up against the biggest guy on the opposing team, and can score at all levels. I'm a believer in Caleb Wilson. I thought coming into the season he was going to be arguably the best freshman. Feel really good about that right now. Really like what I saw from Caleb Wilson on this UNC team, Garrett.
Yeah, if it's not Cam Boozer for the best freshman, it's definitely Caleb Wilson. I mean, it's the first time I watched him play live and not just through a box score, and he is more than everything he's advertised to be. He's big, he's long, he can shoot, he's a monster defensively, he can rebound. D is the full package for UNC. This is a dangerous UNC team.
Very. The last freshman we'll talk about this week is Darius Acuff from Arkansas. 22 points, 2 boards, 4 assists, a steal, a block, and 2 turnovers. Kind of a guy that's going under the radar. Arkansas, I feel like, is kind of floating under the radar a little bit. But this guy's a true bucket getter too, man, and I like everything I saw from him. I think he has a real bright future. I think he's going to be the heartbeat as well of this Arkansas basketball team. And when you need a bucket, find him.
It's really the one thing Arkansas missed last year. They didn't really have one guy that they could say, get us a bucket, and they could get him a bucket consistently. I think Acuff is that guy. It might be exactly what Cal needs to get this Arkansas team over the hump.
100%. Looking forward to watching them moving forward. Talked last week's episode about how Arkansas could win the SEC, and I don't think that's too far out of the imagination, and I think it funnels through him for sure. All right, Garrett. So how we always did things last year and how we're going to continue to move forward is we're just going to talk about some games of the week to make sure you're getting your eyes on, and if these are the games that we would recommend to you guys to make sure that you're watching this week. And the first one that we're going to talk about is a game tomorrow, and this is an absolute banger. This is a game that you do not want to miss. I know college football is on. Get that multi-view going. Get your eyes on this one. That's Alabama, St. John's. Saturday the 8th, which would be tomorrow at 11 a.m. on FS1. Both of these teams need this game, but it's okay if they don't get it because it's such a highly touted matchup. But, man, this would be a confidence booster for both these teams, no doubt.
Can I tell you what's going to be interesting about this game, Collin? St. John's, their defensive MO is they want to speed teams up. That is what they try to do. They want to make you uncomfortable, and they want to speed you up and make you get all out of sorts. Alabama is arguably one of the fastest teams in the country with pace. It's hard to speed a team like Alabama up. I think it's going to give St. John's some trouble, and I think Bama's going to come out with a win.
Really? Give me St. John's. We do always make our picks too, and I'm you know me, man. I'm riding with St. John's. I'm riding with Patino. Give me some Bryce Hopkins action. I like the St. John's team just as much this year as I did last year, and give me them for sure. The next one that we're going to talk about is another banger tomorrow. This is tomorrow night at 6 p.m. on Fox. Arkansas at Michigan State, right? Is it Michigan State? Yeah. Arkansas at Michigan State. Another great basketball game here. Just talked about Acuff. Needs to go in and play that level of basketball again. This Michigan State team's got tons of talent on it, and I think they're going to defend well and make things tough on Cal. But if Cal can get this one with Arkansas, watch the momentum that it built for this Arkansas program for this season, coming off kind of a rockier season last year.
It's a huge game for Cal. I mean, he really struggled in these kind of games last year. He couldn't get that signature win last year. Obviously, beat Kentucky on the road. That is the premier win for Cal. But it's really time for this Arkansas team to make an early statement. They have a great opportunity. It's going to be a hard place to go in and play early in the season.
Garrett, I just turned around and watched SEMO bank in a 3 with 30 seconds left, and they're only down 4 to Mizzou. Good night. Good gravy. All right. The next game we're going to talk about here just completely knocked me off my mark. The next game we're going to talk about here is Kentucky at Louisville, Tuesday the 11th at 7 p.m. on ESPN. This is a hell of an in-state matchup. Both these teams are not fans of one another, especially when it comes to basketball. I took Otega Oweh to be my Wooden Award winner. He's going to have to play like it in this game against Louisville because Louisville is not afraid to score 100 points on you. They made that clear. This is going to be a track meet. As cliche as it sounds, whoever scores more points clearly is going to win this game because this is a race to 90 points, Garrett.
You say that it'll probably be like 61 to 60.
Yeah.
It's one of the greatest rivalries in college basketball that doesn't get talked about. Truthfully, you always look at the Duke UNCs. You look at all these matchups. You always overlook Louisville, Kentucky, and it's a great freaking rivalry. I think Louisville's the better team. I think offensively, they are leaps and bounds better than Kentucky is. Truthfully, I have watched bits and pieces of these Louisville games. Collin, they're really good. And I think the addition of Isaac McNeely, who we didn't really talk about, from Virginia, it's a huge get for this Louisville team. He fits perfectly into their system. He's a three-point menace, and he's just that scrappy guy that nobody likes. And it's great to have those kind of guys on your team. I like Louisville in this matchup a lot.
I like Louisville a lot here too. And what's funny is you and I talked about McNeely and how Louisville has him on the team, and both of us said, not a fan of the guy, but I tell you what, he's a damn good basketball player. And that's exactly what he is. He's a menace on the court. Players don't like him, but he's great to have on your side.
And really, Collin, you talk about a leash. That poor guy at Virginia had a leash. I mean, they did not help him in his offensive style even an ounce. I mean, they run the slowest tempoed offense in the country. They run this horrific pack line defense. They never let him get out in transition. Louisville gives him the green light to do what he wants offensively, and he's going to show you he is more than just a very high-tempo three-point shooter. He can score at 3 levels.
Absolutely. Yeah, give me Louisville as well for sure in this basketball game. The next one to talk about here is Texas Tech at Illinois, Tuesday the 11th at 7:30 p.m. on FS1. This is a top matchup. I have no problem telling you right now I'm taking Texas Tech 10 out of 10 times.
I don't know how Texas Tech is going to match up with those Avicii's brothers. They're huge, Collin. They're giant. I'm afraid JT Toppin is going to be undersized in this matchup. And really, he's not going to struggle to score. I worry about Texas Tech getting a stop, which is crazy to even say when you're mentioning Texas Tech because that's what they do is play defense. But this Illinois team's pretty damn good.
This Illinois team is good, but if Texas Tech has true national championship aspirations like everybody's talking about, this is a game where they got to prove that they really have it moving forward.
I agree with that. And it's going to be JT Toppin that leads that charge. Yeah. But if he's got a tough matchup, it could give Texas Tech some pretty big issues.
I will admit, it is a bad matchup for Texas Tech. Like, if you see this matchup in March, this is not the matchup that Texas Tech wants. So I agree with that 100%. And it's more impressive if they do pull this one off. 2 more matchups here for you to watch this week. Creighton at Gonzaga, Tuesday the 11th at 9 p.m. on ESPN. It's a late game. Going to be tough for a lot of people to get their eyes on this one. What do we get from this Creighton basketball team in big games this year? This Creighton team is really up and down, it seems like, every season. Like, they're a team that Garrett and I have talked before. We tried to honestly not bet a whole lot because Creighton may come out and beat the best team in the country by 30, and they may come out and bang around with the mid-major and win by 2. You just don't know what you're going to get out of Creighton. Also, what are you going to get from this Gonzaga team this year? Not a team that's being talked about a lot like usual. Kind of lost some steam a little bit. This is a big momentum game for both these programs for this season.
Gonzaga is always such an interesting team because they're always ranked. They're always highly ranked. I just feel like they're not getting any love this year. I mean, nobody's talking about Gonzaga. And I'll be honest with you, Collin, I know Graham Ike on Gonzaga is a monster down low. It's about all I know about him. I'm not staying up till 1:30 in the morning watching Gonzaga play Pepperdine. I'm just not going to do it. So I don't know a lot about this Gonzaga team other than they brought back Graham Ike, who is one of the best centers in the country. It's a coin flip. Which Creighton are you going to get? You hit the nail on the head with it.
Yeah. You couldn't have said it better. Yeah, I'm not watching them play Pepperdine either. I couldn't agree with you more. It's their schedule is what kills Gonzaga, honestly. The last game for the week that we want to talk about here is Purdue at Alabama, Thursday the 13th at 6 p.m. on ESPN2. Alabama on this list twice this week, man. They got some tough sledding this week. I'll say this, Alabama's going to get one of these two. They're not going to lose both these games this week. They're going to beat St. John's or Purdue. Which one is it? I honestly don't know because I feel more confident in the St. John's win. And that makes me more confident in Alabama against Purdue later in the week if they do drop that first one.
Yeah, it's a coin flip. I think Purdue matches up worse against Alabama. I think Alabama athletically can run circles around Purdue. But fundamentally, Purdue just doesn't make mistakes. I mean, that's why Purdue's number one team in the country. They are so fundamentally sound. It's a coin flip. Both these games, this early in the season, Collin, anything can happen. Anything.
I'm telling you right now.
You never know. SEMO could, hold their own against Mizzou. That's how crazy things can get.
Yeah, thanks for that reminder again. If Fletcher Lawyer's dropping threes like he was in game one for Purdue and gives them that true other dynamic outside of TKR and Braden, this is a really, really, really good Purdue team. So if they can get that done and Fletcher Lawyer can play that level of basketball, they're going to not be beat by many teams.
Fletcher Lawyer, to me, I'd love to have him on my basketball team. I think he's a horrible defender. I think he is so slow. I don't know how he can stay in front of an athletic two guard. I don't know how you protect him because TKR, truthfully, Collin, isn't big enough to be a rim protector.
Nope.
He's not. He's almost such a liability defensively that his offense is just kind of a wash. And he's going to give you at least 5 games this year where he is brick city. It's what Fletcher Lawyer has been the whole time he's been at Purdue.
Yep. Totally agree with that. Hey, Mizzou, 2-0 in the season. It's not about how you get there, just about if you do get there, Garrett.
I just said it earlier. When they look at these resumes in March, all it's going to show is a W against Southeast Missouri State. I don't care how much they won by. It's a win.
It's a win, baby. Just win, baby. That's what we got to do. Wow. That was a sweat. Glad it's over. Jesus. All right, Garrett. Last thing on the docket for this episode. I am not going to give mine, and I know it's a cowardly move by me because usually I'm the man of bold picks and hot takes and feel like I hit at a pretty high clip on them. But I cannot make my Final Four predictions tonight. I need to see a little bit more to have just because I think there's so much parity this year in the college basketball market. So I want to sit it out right here. Give me yours if you're ready.
I'm going to give you one. I'll just give you a sneak peek. I'll give you one. And they weren't even on my list until tonight. I think Carolina checked every single box I'm looking for. And it's totally recency bias, what I saw from them tonight. They played a home game against a team with a lot of offensive turnover, okay? And they looked really good. And I think Caleb Wilson might be the best player in the country based on what I saw tonight. If they can sustain this level of offensive efficiency, I don't know how you beat this team with the length, speed, and athleticism they have. I don't, Collin. I don't think Hubert Davis is a great coach. I'll be the first to admit it. I don't think he's a good coach. No. And that's really important come March, but I care more about the players that you put out there than the coach. And I think they have it this year.
Let me just give you a sneak peek of mine. I'm confident I'm going to take one too. And I'm gonna take them next week. I'm not going to go back on it. I'm going to take another ACC team here. I'm going to take Louisville. I think we talked last week about how the ACC has to play better in their mid-level teams. The mid-level teams have got to play better. Louisville takes them a step up. North Carolina takes them a step up. That all makes Duke better. That all makes the resumes better. So you may see the ACC be pretty dominant. They're going to be pretty top-heavy, I think, again, which is normal for the ACC. But I think if those 3 teams are going, that conference looks really good. Give me Louisville, man. I like what I see out of them. I like them coming into the season. I picked them to win the ACC. I think all those things come into play here, and I'm a believer in Louisville. So that's sneak peek for me as well. One of my 4.
I think the ACC will surprise a lot of people this year. I really do, Collin. I think you're going to see 5-6 teams from the ACC make the tournament, and it's going to be a shock. I watched snippets of Miami play earlier this week.
Yeah.
I don't think they look bad. I don't think they're going to be a lock for the NCAA tournament. I think they'll be a bubble team most of the year. I think they have enough talent to sneak out a win or two, maybe against an NC State, maybe against a Louisville at home. If they can sneak out a couple big wins like that, and you can get that extra team in the tournament, the ACC looks that much better. And that's important.
Yes. Yeah, obviously the sport of college basketball is better when the ACC is better, so I couldn't agree more. And I think it makes everything more dynamic, and I'm excited for it. And that's why this season is going to be really damn good, man. It's going to be an entertaining season. Going to see a lot of teams upsetting teams, and these high-touted matchups aren't always going to go the way you expect them to with the Blue Bloods. So I'm pumped up for this. Anything else? Are you good?
I want to say one thing because I haven't mentioned my Hoosiers one time this whole show.
Give it to me.
I understand, Collin. They played Alabama A&M, okay? I didn't know Alabama had an A&M in their state, but they do. And they have a basketball team that's really, really bad, really bad. But this is a completely different looking Indiana team that I think is going to make a really good amount of noise, Collin. They shot almost 50% from three, and they went 16 for 16 from the free throw line. If you can shoot the rock in college basketball, you're going to win games, a good amount of games. Only problem I have with them, they're small. They don't have a single guy over 6'10". Tune in on Sunday at noon, forget the NFL, and watch them play Marquette.
Yeah, it's another good one. Absolutely. They're an up and down the court team, man. They gotta score a lot of points. We'll see. I hope better for you this year. You were down in the dumps last year dealing with them. I'm feeling your pain already. I mean, Mizzou's going to be horrible. So we'll see where this thing goes, man. All good?
2-0 for Mizzou.
2-0. Just how you get there, baby. I love it. All right, hey, this is Foul 'em Hard with Deep Threat Sports Network. You can follow us on X at DT_sports_. Facebook, Deep Threat Sports Network. Go get you some merch on our merch website. We'll drop the link for you guys. Apple, YouTube, Spotify, Deep Threat Sports. That's Garrett. I'm Collin. We will be with you all basketball season. Hope to ramp things up down the season as it gets going, get maybe 2 episodes a week. Once kind of college football winds down, once all the good things in Garrett's life that are taking place right now kind of wind down a little bit and he settles in, we will be back hopefully 2 times a week. But, hey, until next time, that's Garrett. I'm Collin. Peace.